when the lottery comes around and the jackpot is up close to $500 million? We've seen it a few times recently, right? When that happens, Tony and I have the fun little game we play called What Would You Do If You Won? Once we're finished buying houses and cars and private jet service, we get down to the nitty-gritty. What would we give to charity? Sure, the usual suspects come up in the conversation, the Red Cross, Doctors Without Borders, UNICEF, to name a few. But I'm more interested in helping children directly. Given my intense hatred of bureaucracy, I came up with an idea to help underprivileged children attain a first-class education in the Bay Area. I simply asked myself, why can't underprivileged children go to the private schools that the wealthiest kids have access to? Simple, right? Why can't they? My lottery dream is to round up all the kids in poverty-stricken neighborhoods and send them to the great private schools. Even if it means busing a child from Richmond over to Marin Country Day School, why not? I think it's time to consider making my lottery dream a reality, but I can't do it without your help. First of all, why do we need to make my lottery dream a reality? Well, simply because poverty is rising in our area. Currently, the Bay Area poverty rate is near historic levels. There are over 800,000 people living below the poverty line. That's 11.3% of Bay Area residents. The federal poverty threshold is defined as $11,490 for a single income family or $23,550 for a family of four. So remember, 800,000 plus people living below those means. This is in an area where home costs, an average home cost, is $635,000. Another reason to consider my goal is because higher poverty rates result in lower graduation rates. I've created a chart here that shows the comparison. For example, Marin County is only 8.4% poverty rate, the lowest in the Bay Area, and it has a 2014 to 2015 graduation rate of children who met the requirements to go to UC or CSU systems of 61.2%. What a great, so you have a low poverty rate and a high graduation rate. Now, if you look at Contra Costa County, they have the poverty rate of 10.8%. Remember, this is where Richmond is located, so that's 10.8%, and their graduation rate is almost 50%. So poverty goes up, graduation goes down. It's been proven that increasing education results in lower crime rates that can turn a community around entirely. According to the Sweden study published in the Economic Journal, in 1997, 41% of inmates in U.S. prisons had not completed high school, compared to just 18% of the total population 18 plus. The study also found that one additional year of schooling decreases the likelihood of a conviction by 6.7% and decreases the likelihood of incarceration by 15.5%. An increase in education results directly in a decrease in crime in four separate ways. According to the Sweden study, 1. Education increases wages. Secondly, educated individuals have more patience and place more values on their potential future earnings. They're not willing to gamble with their future. Third, education decreases an individual's propensity for crime by increasing that person's attachment to legitimate society. And finally, 4, the peer effect. It spreads the benefits of education to further decrease criminal activity by influencing the educated's friends and family. Overall, the results of the Sweden study is that, quote, additional schooling has a causal impact on an individual's propensity to commit their first illegal act and on their propensity to commit particularly severe offenses, end quote. Now, you may be wondering what makes me qualified to even address this issue. Well, as you mostly know, I have a history of charitable involvement. As the director of Project Home Sweet Home, I repurposed furniture from houses that no longer needed it to homes that were in desperate need of it, oftentimes supporting women escaping abusive environments. From there, I created and directed Charity of the Month, where every month we collected different items to benefit different charities. We brought books to veterans, we brought toothbrushes and toothpaste to the Ritter Center. Many charitable organizations benefited from the work of Charity of the Month. So how do we do this? Let's see, first we have to determine a target area. I would nominate a city like Richmond, California. In 2014, the crime index in Richmond was 638.9. The U.S. average crime rate was 287.5. The poverty level in Contra Costa County, where Richmond resides, is 10.8%. Richmond's estimated per capita income in 2013 was only $24,770. And then the Contra Costa County 2014-2015 graduation rate was 48.9%, the lowest graduation rate in the entire Bay Area. Next, we would need to determine where to send these kids. We'd have to look at standardized tests and scores to determine what the best age is to enroll them in our new program. Then we need to compare the test scores of the private schools that are geographically accessible to Richmond in order to determine which schools we would like to work with. Here in Marin, that could be Marin Country Day School or Marin Catholic, and we'd have to look at their test scores, their graduation rates, and the likelihood of transferring on to a four-year degree in order to come to a final decision on the schools that we think are good enough for these kids. Now the big one, we've got to establish financial support. We can do this in a few different ways. First, we can tackle big money donors. We're in the Bay Area. This is the home of the tech explosion. We have companies like Google, Intel, eBay, Apple. These companies give a lot of money back to their communities, and their employees live in our communities. So it only makes sense to target them as big money donors. We could go for little money donors. Bernie Sanders did this really effectively over his grassroots campaign. He asked everybody to donate $2, and it carried him through the entirety of his campaign season. If we did that, we could have the same impact, and you couple it with the big donor money, golden. So then there's also the opportunity to do things like GoFundMe, put up a website explaining what we're doing and having it a place to point people for their $2 donation. And finally, I would try to fashion the entire idea as a grassroots appeal and make it a thing. Create a social media presence and create, buzz, go to local coffees, business programs, spread word of mouth, get people talking about it. Finally, to establish our program, we would need to create a school outreach department. We would need to liaise with both the schools that the students are at now, the schools where the students in need are, and the schools where we're going to send them. And I would also look into liaising with the Department of Education to see if we can get the county or the state, on which level this operates, to redirect the funds per students to their new private institutions and help defray tuition costs, and maybe ask the schools if they would consider reducing tuition costs for our program. You may recall there was a smaller version of this idea that's worked in the past. There was a grandmother in Oakland. Well, she was grandmotherly age, but she didn't have any children of her own, and she had quite a bit of money and didn't know what to do with it. She adopted a first grade class, and she told these children, if you graduate from high school, I will pay for your college. I think the compliance rate on this was 80%. 80% of those children went on to graduate from high school, and she sent them to college. She made a difference. We can too. You're probably thinking, hey, it's your lottery dream. Why do I need to get involved? Well, there's several good reasons, but the most obvious are, help change the future for these kids. Leave a legacy behind in your name of doing good. Set a positive example that you can hand down to your children for being involved and responsible to your community. We could use this to provide a pilot program to show other cities and counties how they can set this up to help their underprivileged kids. And last but definitely not least, to leave the world a better place. We don't have to win the lottery to make this dream a reality. Individually, we would have to win big, but if we band together, we can give these kids a chance. We can help lower crime in their neighborhoods, we can help increase employment, and lower poverty as their generation matures. We can help break the cycle of undereducation and all the bad decisions that come with that. I'm not asking you for your money. I'm asking you to volunteer. Let's take our collective wisdom from all the years we have in business and from our own educations to change the future for children in need. Together, we can make my lottery dream a reality.